Hi, Dad! Hello, everyone, and welcome to Weary Lore. Happy New Year! As it is New Year, right now, I wanted to sit down and talk with all of you about some of our New Year's traditions, why we do them, and where they come from. Will they all be creepy? Quite frankly, I don't know. I write my intros before doing any of the research. Is this irresponsible? Maybe, but it makes it fun. I already had the idea for this video when I decided to research creepy holiday creatures. I was originally going to focus on the traditions there as well, but I was drawn in more by the creatures. It was because of a creature on a list that I found while researching for that video that I decided that I would shift my traditions video to the new year. This creature isn't so much a creature, but a tradition. It's a wassailing folk custom that began around 1800. This tradition is known as Marie Lloyd. The tradition itself is simple, only made creepy by the Marie Lloyd itself. In very simple terms, the Marie Lloyd is a hobby horse, but it's far from the hobby horses of today, the ones that people frolic around on social media on and take far too seriously. Marie Lloyd is described as a horse's skull, decorated with ribbons and mounted on a pole. It is then carried by a person who hides under a sheet that is attached to the horse's skull. Yeah, not creepy at all. The first introduction that I had to this tradition was a thought experiment. It was postulated. Imagine you are a child and you hear a knock at your door at midnight on New Year's. When you open the door, you look up and see a worn horse's skull staring down at you with lifeless eyes, floating above the ground as if by supernatural means. It is then that a mysterious chanting starts, and you feel dread in the pit of your stomach. But you're the only one who seems to see this terrifying visage. The adults at the party are still drinking and laughing as if completely unaware of the horror at their doorstep. This is, of course, paraphrased. I first learned of this tradition so long ago that I don't know where that thought experiment originated any longer. Thinking about it that way, it's chilling. Why are they there? Why are they chanting? Why are the adults ignoring it? Well, they're not. It's completely blown out of proportion. The tradition of Marie Lloyd does involve a hobby horse. There is a person concealed under it. This person is traditionally accompanied by at least 2 other people, perhaps 3. A person characterized as the leader, and other people playing stock characters, like Punch and Judy. They come to the door and demand entry through song. That's the chanting. It is customary for the people in the home to deny them entry through song. This continues back and forth until a side gives in. If the people inside the home are the ones to give in, the team accompanying the married Lloyd is allowed inside and given food and drink, and allowed to cause some chaos. If the team is the first to relent, which doesn't seem to be the usual ending, they leave. Now, the origins and etymology of the Marie Lloyd are debated. The custom has fallen in and out of fashion, and the reason it began is not really known. There are some people who believe that its origins lay in pre-Christian religious rites, and there are some people who say that there is no evidence that the tradition existed in that time period. Until further evidence or historical references are found, it is most likely just a hobby of the social elite, and is now in every man's tradition. Okay, that one was a little long. However, it was interesting to me as I had never looked into it beyond the thought experiment. Moving on. Now, the longest standing tradition in my household, something passed down to me from my parents, to them from their parents, and to their parents from their parents, and so on and so forth. I don't actually know how far it goes back. is eating pork and sauerkraut on New Year's Day. The type of pork doesn't matter. The type of sauerkraut doesn't matter. As long as it comes from a pig and cabbage, it's fair game. Usually, we'd eat this just after midnight. I've always been told that it is for good luck in the upcoming year. But is this something that my family just made up? Or is there a larger number of people who practice this tradition? And does it have a deeper meaning? So obviously, I looked into it. The tradition of eating pork and sauerkraut on New Year's is a lot older than I expected. A lot of the traditions, creatures, and stories I look into seem to crop up somewhere in the 1800s. What a time to be alive, right? However, this tradition, a German tradition, began before the first Germans arrived in the New World. When was that? Oh, just back in the early 1600s. I didn't know that sauerkraut was even that old. A little tangent here. Just stick with me. I had to look into when sauerkraut was created. I assumed that it was the Germans and that it was later than 220 BCE. It actually might have even been earlier than that, but the evidence of the Roman sauerkraut is debated. It was the Chinese, by the way, the 220 BCE version. It wasn't the sauerkraut that we know today, but it was what is considered the earliest version of sauerkraut. Back to your regularly scheduled programming. Why do we eat pork and sauerkraut? Well, it is actually a symbol of good luck. Pigs, the source of pork, do I really need to say that, are always looking for food. In this search, they are constantly moving forward. By eating pork, we are symbolizing moving forward in the new year. But what about cabbage? This was more obvious, though kind of childish. Cabbage is green. What else is green? Money! Cabbage symbolizes wealth, prosperity, and good fortune. It's even round, like the shape of coins. Eating it will bring that prosperity and good fortune to you in the new year. It also tastes good, so what's the harm? Another tradition that my household upholds is no cleaning on New Year's Day. This one is more recent for me. It's not something my parents did. It's a tradition I picked up when I moved out of my parents' house and into my first home with roommates. It was a tradition of theirs, though they were very bad at cleaning overall. I liked it. Did I know why it had started or the history behind it? Nope. It was an excuse not to clean for a whole day. I'll take it. So, why aren't we supposed to clean? Well, according to sketchy internet sources, don't judge me, it's to make sure that we don't wash away any of the good luck that came in with the new year. You don't wash clothes, you don't sweep the floor, you don't throw anything out, you don't even shower. For that one day, you leave everything as it is. On January 2nd, life can go back to normal. The best that I could find for the origins of this tradition were that it's Chinese. This wasn't surprising to me. A lot of their traditions revolve around luck. It's a Chinese Lunar New Year tradition to not clean the first couple days of Lunar New Year in order to not sweep away the good luck that came in with the new year. However, there are also cleaning traditions leading up to the Lunar New Year, so we're only practicing one side of the coin. Shocking. While we're visiting the East, let's take a little trip to Japan and one of the small villages there. A not so lighthearted tradition observed there is appeasing the Namahage. The Namahage is an ogre-like demon that goes door to door, terrifying the inhabitants inside. This demon can be appeased with sake and rice cakes. However, if you refuse to do so, it might just steal your children from you. That's not all. Once appeased, these creatures offer protection from illnesses and disaster. They even bring a good harvest and plentiful food year-round. But that's only if you appease them. Does this sound familiar? The Namahage could also fall under holiday creature, a monster that steals children and can cause misfortune. This isn't widespread. They appear on New Year's Eve in the Oga Peninsula of Akita Prefecture. I have to be honest, I did find information, descriptions, etymology, legends, but the only year mentioned was 1967. That was the establishment of the Namahage Saido Festival. The tradition and the creatures have been around for much longer than that. The last tradition, why do we kiss someone? I remember being a kid and having adults give me kisses on my squishy little cheeks, and I just really didn't understand it. I also just really didn't like random kisses. I still don't. So obviously, I looked into this one. Kissing on New Year's is another tradition rooted in luck. We're all very focused on luck in the new year, aren't we? But this luck has more to do with a relationship than just random luck. The person that you kiss is supposed to become your everlasting love for the new year. That just makes all those random New Year's kisses in Times Square even more disturbing. Ugh. It's supposed to strengthen the bond you have with that person, or I suppose animal, if you're a crazy cat lady that kisses their cat. The flip side of this coin is that if you don't have someone to kiss, you're doomed to an upcoming year of loneliness. How sad. The tradition of kissing someone at the turn of the year is believed to date as far back as the festival of Saturnalia. That one during ancient Roman times? Earlier than the 1st century BC? That's wild. I knew that our traditions were the evolution of other traditions, but the sheer amount of time that some of these traditions have weathered is just unbelievable. I never thought that I would take part in something that the ancient Romans would also take part in. Our times are so far removed from each other. As with our own celebration, this was just a party where people were happy. The festival of Saturnalia is, of course, remembered as more than that, but back in that time, it was just their party. I'm just really glad that we don't sacrifice anything anymore. Unless you count the pig. This is just a small sampling of New Year's traditions. Every culture has their own, but I must admit, most of them aren't creepy. There are creepy parts to them, like the Marie Louise, but overall, they're wholesome. There's people picnicking in cemeteries to ring in the New Year's with their deceased relatives, and monks ringing a bell 108 times to purify their soul or others for the new year. There's people eating grapes as the New Year's bell tolls to usher in luck in the coming months, and people dancing in bear pelts to repel evil forces. Okay, maybe that one's a little creepy. I just want you to know, no matter what you accomplished or didn't accomplish this year, no matter what battles you won or battles you lost, no matter how many times you fell, you got back up. You did it. A lot of people will be spelling out their wins this year, but it doesn't make you a failure because your list is smaller than theirs. Go into the new year with an unburdened heart. I hope the new year brings you health, wealth, and luck. Happy New Year. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.